Welcome back to the channel. For those that don't know me, I'm Kerry. I'm the redhead reseller. I sell across eBay, Vinted, Etsy and Depop. We have a sales update today. It feels like forever since I last did a sales update with you. Yeah, time just seems to be flying at the moment. I was doing these weekly, but that's not happening at the moment, clearly. But we have sales across 3 different platforms, nothing on Depop. It's considering eBay have bought Depop out, it's still really bad. I've had a whole 2 sales on Depop for like the whole time I've had Depop, and that's beginning of this year, I think. So 2 sales in nearly 4 months, brilliant. So yeah, we don't rely on Depop at all, but I've got sales across everything else. So we are starting our sales update on £14,272.49. I have then paid my monthly payment of £477.9. So that's not bad. And then I will go through our sales. We will go through Vinted first, but let's talk Vinted. I got barred from Vinted. I got a lifetime ban from Vinted. So not even just temporary ban, a lifetime ban. And I got banned for this item. Apparently, this little toy that is just a Peter Rabbit figure was counterfeit, according to them, according to their AI system. The worst system they've ever freaking bought into Vinted ever. So I got barred. I made an appeal, and it took them a week to actually look into it and say, yes, no, you are right, you shouldn't have been barred. So I got my account back after a week, but it meant I lost a week of sales on Vinted, which is really annoying. But I got my account back, which is fantastic. And I then uploaded the item again by accident, didn't I? Because I used Crosslist, I uploaded that. I uploaded like a vintage blowtorch that doesn't work, it's just for show these days, and some cheese slice things, and all 3 of them were under review or something or other. And I was like, oh, here we go again. I tried contacting Vinted, and they told me that they can't do anything. The system's just got to go through its thing and it'll do whatever it does at the end. And I was like, well, that's fantastic, thank you for your help. I'm telling you that the items need to come off. You're telling me that you won't do anything. So there was a chance I was going to get barred again. Amazingly enough, it didn't happen. 3 days after the figure went back onto Vinted, it was then allowed to be seen, which was great, and that is actually sold in this video. On top of that, they removed the blowtorch, which is fine. It was never meant to be on there. And then lastly, let's turn that light up. Lastly, the cheese slices were actually allowed on there. So yeah, knives were allowed on there apparently. So they all went through review for like 3 days straight, but 2 out of 3 actually got allowed, so that's great. So yeah, we're back on Vinted. So we'll start with our Vinted sales. These zoo animals cost me 50p, they're Shrek, and I sold these the day I got barred from Vinted. Luckily enough, I'd already printed the label out, so I was still able to send it, and I sold them for £15. Then I got back on Vinted probably 4 days ago now, maybe. So since then I've sold all of this. Sold this Mickey mouse keyring, it cost me £2. I sold it for £14. This Squishmallow cost me 50p. It has hung around since like 2024, but it sold for £15. This fat face coat, it was a bundle at the car boot. It was 3 items for £1, so I picked out the kid's fat face coat, just the fact that it was the only other item I could find that might be worth anything at all. So I sold that for £3. So there's my bundle already paid for, plus £2 more. This plate was part of the 10p bundle, so I am well in profit with this, and it's still trickling out. So I sold this for £4. This tie cost me £1. I sold it for £10. Some ties are worth picking up. This measuring cup cost me £1. I sold that for £10. The jacket was mine. I sold it for £1.70 because it did have a lot of wear to it. These boots cost me £2. I sold them for £10. So with these boots, it took me a couple of days to post them out, which is really annoying because I always do next day or same day postage on Vinted. And these boots, she picked DPD and I didn't realise I had DPD set up. So you have a look on Vinted at DPD and it only gives you a certain amount of places that you can drop it off at. And one of the places you can drop it off at are those new green Yeep boxes, which don't work for DPD on Vinted. I found out after going to 2 of them. It took me days to work out where the hell I was going to drop this off, and turns out every single locker that I take all my raw mail and all my every to will accept DPD. But if you do a search for DPD on their website, they don't bring it up. So you can drop it off at your raw mail lockers. So they went out, cost me £2, sold them for £10. This Rockport bag, bought it for £1. I had an offer come through for £6 the day I was barred from Vinted, so I never got to accept it. And anyway, then I accepted the offer when I came back on Vinted and it sold for the £6. So not bad. This Beauty and the Beast figure cost me 10p part of a bundle. Sold it for £5.50. This just goes to show that you don't need to be it's like charging everything for £1 on Vinted. You can make money on Vinted. And the amount of people that say to me it's a waste of time, you only get £1 for everything, everyone wants everything cheap. Well, I feel like my sales alone here just prove that wrong, because I've been selling stuff between £1.70 and £15. So the famous Lily Rabbit figure cost me 50p. Sold it for £5. This bundle of 2 cost me £1 in total for the 2 items. I sold them for £11. And this M&S jumper, I was gutted. M&S jumper, it was 100% cashmere. It cost me £1. I didn't realise till I got it home. Had a nice big hole right there, but it sold for £8 on Vinted with a hole. So yeah, £8. Not bad going. So that's everything for Vinted so far. We then have Etsy. Now, a lot of Etsy stuff I don't sell a lot of, but I sell the really random bits. So this mug is one of those German Christmas mugs. And everyone's always like, oh, they're not worth anything. And on eBay, they're not. But on Etsy, I got £19.99 for this mug. And it cost me 50p. So the mugs can be worth picking up and sticking them on Etsy if you sell on Etsy. That's my only order for Etsy. Like I said, I don't get many orders in, but I do get the weird and wonderful orders that wouldn't be worth anything on eBay or Vinted. So it's worth having. And I've put most of my stock on there as well, just as like an extra. Right, so then we're on to eBay. eBay has definitely picked up. Finally, it's picked up. So that's great, because it was really, really quiet. I mean, I've hit my targets every month so far, but it was really, really quiet, so I was doing my nutting. But we bought this chunky first one for £2, and I sold it for £12.99. This tea set, again, is part of my £10 bundle, so it cost me, I mean, I don't even think the items at this point are costing me 10p. They probably cost me like a penny each, if not, maybe even not even a penny. And I sold this for £20. When everything has sold, I will do a full video on how much I actually earn on this £10 bundle, because this guy was a vintage reseller himself at the car boot, but he won't use eBay, and it was the end of year stock that he was getting rid of, so it's made me a lot of money. The Schleck figure cost me 50p, didn't hang around long, I sold it for £10.99. This clock cost me £5, I sold it for £41. This jumper cost me 50p. I sold it for £15. This fat face jacket cost me £3. I sold it for £5.50. These Toy Story figures cost me £1. I sold them for £11.99. These Rocket Dog boots cost me £2. I sold them for £20. I've sold 2 pairs of boots even though the weather's this beautiful. It's great. I bought this kite for £1. I sold it for £8. This bear hung around forever. Like, this is early 2024 stock, I'm sure it is. It cost me £1. I sold it for £12.99. It's gone over to America. This government's remote cost me £1. I sold it for £7.85. This nail kit I got on Facebook for free last year. I sold it for £33.99. This 360 camera, I'm not including in my total, but because it's sold on eBay, I'm going to show it you. It was my item. I paid £40 for it. Originally, I bought it for hiking, and then I decided not to actually use it for hiking. And I actually sold it for £169.99. So real cameras, worth keeping an eye out for. I remember the guy, I remember picking it up from him. He got talking to me, and he worked for a company, and it was an item that was just left in the drawer and forgotten about. So the lads decided to sell it for some beer money. I'm happy. Whether they got told off or not at the end of it, I don't know, but that's not my problem. These bowls are right. So I've got a story behind these bowls. I've had these and 2 or 3 more orders, all in the space of about 2 weeks, go missing. So they've gone out 3 went out 1 went out raw mail, and all 4 of them went missing. And they were lost like 2 weeks or something. So I put a thing in with the courier stating that it was a lost item, which meant I obviously had to refund the buyer. But I didn't refund the buyer until I got the confirmation from the courier to say, yes, we're refunding you, the item's lost. So I refunded the buyer on all 4 of these items. Then the raw mail one, I didn't get money for. I got postage stamps, because we know what raw mail's like. We've given refunds, got postage stamps. Lucky enough, it was like £5 something at the order. And then a couple of days after that, eBay came back and went, this item's now been delivered. We've noticed that you've refunded the buyer, so we're going to refund you. So not only did I now have these £5 worth of postage stamps, I also have my money, and the buyer has their money and the item. So then on top of that, the other items were lost in the post. Agreed that they were going to refund me for them, so I refunded the buyer. And then about 3 or 4 days after that, both items got delivered. So then eBay noticed that I'd refunded the buyer, so they went, oh well, we're going to refund you now, because they've been delivered. So again, I now have my money from eBay, my money from the courier, so I've been paid twice over. The buyer's been refunded and has their item, which is great for both of us. And then these bowls these are like a whole other story. I got given these on Facebook for free. I sold them originally for £23.25 on an offer, and they went missing in the post, obviously, and I did the claim with Every, as I was meant to, and Every went, yeah, they're lost, we're gonna refund you. Once I had that, I then agreed to refund the buyer. So the buyer got the refund. I now also have my money. Item is missing. About a week after that, I got an update from Every saying your parcel's due to be delivered today. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. You know, the buyer will get they've had the money and they'll get the item, and I've got my money, so it's fine. Turns out it wasn't getting delivered to the buyer. It was being returned to me. So not only did now I have my money, the buyer had their money back, the item was getting returned to me. So the item actually got returned to me. So I now had the money and the item. And the buyer messaged me and was like, oh, I've just seen that the item's being returned to you. I'd really like to buy it still if you wouldn't mind. And I was like, yeah, it's fine with me. So I sold the item once. I refunded the buyer. Both of us then had our money because I had the courier pay me out. So we've both been paid. The item then got given back to me. So then I now have the item again. And weirdly enough, because the item stated it being delivered, eBay went, the item's now been delivered, so we're going to refund you. So they didn't think to check that it had been delivered back to me and not the buyer. So I had a refund from the courier, a refund from eBay, and the item. And then the buyer decided they're now going to rebuy the item, which they did. And it's been delivered perfectly fine this time. So the buyer has had a refund. They've then rebought the item. Me, on the other hand, has had a refund from the courier, a refund for eBay for the item finally being delivered after I've refunded the buyer, and now it's been rebought. So this £23, £25 item has now turned into me being paid 3 times for that item. I mean, I'm not going to complain, but it's an extra like 50 quid in my pocket nearly. So yeah, that happened. So that's the balls. Next up, we have this Jurassic figure. It cost me £2. It was untested because I didn't have batteries. I sold it for £19.99. This brass door handle, again, part of my good old £10 bundle. So it cost me like pence. Sold that for £44.99. Blows me mind. And then I sold to the same buyer. I sold these paperweights. They cost me 50p and I sold them for £2. They cost me 50p and I sold them for £12, not £2, £12. This Wigan shirt cost me 50p. I sold it for £9.34. That hung around forever. I wouldn't buy it again. These switch controls, also from my 10p bundle. I can't test them. I don't know what they are. I don't know how to work them. So I sold them for £28.89. This Buzz Lightyear cost me £2. I sold it for £19.99. This tote bag hung around since last year, but it was a discontinued bag from one of the parks. It cost me £1. I sold it for £16.19. This mould set, it hung around for like a month, if that. Bought it for 50p. I sold it for £24.99. This camcorder lead was part of that £10 or £15 camcorder bundle I bought ages ago, where I've actually sold everything else and sold most of it and made profit on all of it by now. The camera I think went for like 70 odd quid, but this camcorder lead I sold that for £11. This Cyberman cost me 50p. I sold it for £10.54. These Sesame Street plushes cost me 50p. I sold them for £15.99. This box set cost me £1.25 at the car boot towards the beginning of the year. I sold that for £24.99. So keep an eye out for that one. This Filofax cost me £1. It was just empty one. I sold that for £12.99. This spin top cost me £1. I sold that for £12.99. This Beast Lab figure cost me 50p and I sold that for £11.99. This Millennium Falcon figure cost me nothing. I can't remember what that was with, but it cost me nothing. I sold it for £5.94. I know what it was with. It was with that bundle of toys I got last year from someone on Facebook for free. It was in there. And this Genie plush cost me 50p and I sold it for £8. It has been a heavy figure and toys sort of plush couple of weeks, which is really weird. But I'm happy because they're dead easy to send out. But that is everything. I have spent on stock recently a total of £216.23 at all the tip shops and the car boots I've been going to. So that needs to obviously go back on my total, which means we are now down to £13,518 and nine. No, that's wrong. £13,518.97. That's the correct way of saying that, Kerry. So yeah, we're down to 13.5 grand pretty much. So that is really, really good going. I'm so proud of myself so far. Yeah, I'm so happy. And with me, I am going to hit that 10 grand before the next couple of months. And I will be treating myself to a holiday when I get to that 10 grand. So yeah, that is everything. This is 21 minutes long of me sort of complaining about Vinted and eBay messing up. So both companies actually messing up on me that in the past 2 weeks. That's weird. So yeah, that is everything. But until the next one, please like, subscribe and comment, and I will see everyone again very soon. Bye.